Got that in the pen from Sanford Notes.
2 minutes and I'll get the meeting started. Your report is only
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Your report,
Hey, Lauren.
10, 5, 10? What, so I'll let the housing committee go first. They should be pretty quick. And then,
Okay.
Reggie?
The gang is all here.
Bill, you may just have to click OK on that on the TV screen.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
You have to touch the TV screen? The mouse.
Got it. Okay, we good now? Oh, it's you. No.
Uh-oh.
Jackie's giving us a lovely shot of her fan in the report. Here she is.
Well, I'll share it though.
Is the deputy with you, Jackie?
Okay.
Is the deputy with you, Jackie?
She's talking to
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. She has to unmute herself. She's talking.
Now, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, hi.
Fantasy Town Board League.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, 7 o'clock. Call the Woodstock Town Board meeting, the regular meeting of May 10th to order. Board present, town clerk is at home on Zoom. We have Nick Henderson and Bill here from Freeman. And is Felicia here? No, I didn't see her come on. So they're representing the press. I will turn the floor over to Deb. Want to come and speak about housing. If you want to
Where
stand,
would you like for us to stand?
I think if you
Well,
stand,
there's a camera back
yeah,
there.
so if they stand in that corner, they should,
Okay.
you should be
Put it
good.
back
You've
to
got a
the
speaker
camera here.
right there.
All right. Deborah, you're gonna go first, so I'll just stand over here.
So Deborah, you should stand right, maybe 6 inches forward. Perfect. Now you're on screen.
Okay.
But the
Okay,
camera's out. But we're this way, so this would be a. long
Where
plan.
do I do?
you're talking to the
Yeah.
board, so.
Yes. So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for having us. Deborah Maria-Elena, co-chair of the Housing Oversight Task Force with Kirk Ritchie, and we're going to do a little tag team here. Laura Ricky is on that task force as well as several other members, and we were here in January with a lot of excitement and a lot of effort under our belt, and we have not stopped. Literally, we've been meeting now weekly for a couple of months, going with a fine-tooth comb over our work and our work with our consultant to come up with recommendations for housing, for zoning updates in our community, and also for the code that will be that will implement those recommendations for you to review and to go through the formal process. So we're just here this evening to give you a brief status report and to tell you some good news that we are very close to finishing our recommendations. We wanted to be sure that we were all in agreement on the policies, that we had the right approach that fit Woodstock. And what I think fundamentally it represents is, first of all, based on the comprehensive plan, which is a tremendous document and a real blueprint, and by law, it's what the zoning needs to be aligned with. by state law. So it's going to bring code in alignment with the comprehensive plan. And also with the charge that we had from the town board last year at the time that you were discussing the moratorium, and that we had all recognized, and certainly since the comprehensive plan, the intensity of the housing needs and the housing crisis in our community. But we want to do this in a deliberative manner. We're a diverse group. We come from we're all volunteers. We come from different boards and committees. So we have that, the planning board, the ZBA, the zoning revision committee, the housing committee. So we bring that collective perspective to our work, and also, how it would then work on a planning board, how it would work with the ZBA. I cannot tell you how invaluable that has been in our development of these recommendations. So not to, I don't want to hold you in suspense, because we're not going to give you the recommendations tonight.
I knew that.
But we are looking at May 31st.
Okay.
It would require a special meeting where we would be able to, and we were looking at doing this in 2 meetings. The first one, because it's a lot.
How
We're
many
not,
pages?
okay, so it's 300 pages, 295 pages is the zoning code. We're not rewriting the whole zoning code.
Right.
So just be, don't get nervous. But we are creating a new housing chapter within the zoning code, and a lot of the things that are in the code will be brought into there, as well as new recommendations that we're going to be going over with you when we meet with you on the 31st. So we want that meeting to really be, to give you the overview, to enable you, and our consultant, Nan Stolzenberg, will be with us. We'll have a PowerPoint presentation and some other materials to kind of walk through some of the concepts. Some of them are familiar terms, but we may be using them slightly differently. And some of them may be new concepts. So we want to make sure that everyone understands and you have the chance to digest. And then we'll give you the tome and tell you where to find what we're recommending in that large document. And then we would like to come back and have a question and answer session that's a little bit more rooted in the material, because it's really a lot. I just want to say it's very complex zoning code. My hat goes off to Ed Sanders and the folks that came before, that we built on their incredible work. And we think we're going to improve and bring up into the 21st century things that we need in our town now, and also trying to look toward the future. The main approach that we've taken from the comprehensive plan and your charge is all of our work has been really looking to harmonize the needs for housing in our community with protecting the environment and putting that into the code front and center, and having it be there for the entire town. It's, it'll be different. Obviously, the wetlands and watercourse law is there, the scenic overlay is there, all these other things are there. But this is a way of integrating those values and the importance that this community places on the environment, also with the importance that it places on its people. And so we're excited. We think it's very powerful. Kirk, I don't know if you want to say anything about Nan or about the work that we've been doing and where we are.
Yeah, let's take a few moments. Thanks for having us here this afternoon. One of the words in our task force is oversight. And we started this task force. Bill set it up, and we had your support since then. to have an outside expert provide guidance and insight and their expertise based on the knowledge that she has, it's been incredibly valuable. Nan has been incredibly valuable. But then the oversight part that I have recognized has been more like translating some of the suggestions that she was making and have it fit specifically to our town, right? And so that's where there's been a really detailed amount of effort to make sure that what Nan is bringing forward in her expertise, that it fits with our town. And that's what we've been working on in the past months. We should be ready by the 31st. But I don't really, Deborah said most everything we wanted to say. I think that again, I want to maybe reiterate that right away, Nan recognized and proposed some things of which way we could meet the needs of the housing and the value that our town expressed in the comprehensive plan of conserving the environment, and marry those two. And the harmony that we've sought in the code is really what, and that's town-wide. It's across every hamlet. It's a part of every parcel. And so it's really something that's quite significant, and we're very excited about it. So come the 31st, we'll be able to give you the larger perspective and then provide the entire code to the boards and committees at that point, if that's what the board would like to see. And then you'll probably be wanting to know more about how the planning board thinks about it and how the ZBA feels about it and such. And so those are the things that we will be interacting with after we meet with all of you on the 31st.
Excellent.
And I just want to say one more thing, and this is obviously something for you all to discuss, but if it's useful as we're getting closer to that time, once you've had the overview and you develop questions and you send them to us, we can work on that. We want to do this in a collaborative way. We really recognize that this is, it's a big step, but it's an important, and exciting 21st century thing. I just want to say as a career environmentalist, for me, this has been a real joy to see that we can actually look at a granular level at our land in this town with an appreciation for what it has. At the same time, we recognize the importance of housing our seniors and housing our artists and our young families. And so that's what has motivated us to get to this point. But we didn't want to come to you with a half-baked, because it wouldn't work for, and also I just want to say one more thing, and Laura, if you want to pipe in at all, but it was really important. And one thing I really have appreciated about Nan, she really wanted us to be, we're the ones advising. She's giving us information, guiding us, but we have to grapple with what it is we want and to recommend. And that's been a process.
She's recommending different routes, and you choose which route you want to take.
Right, precisely. And even some of that, it's really up to the group itself. And Judith will bring in the planning board perspective, and Michael brings in the ZBA perspective, other aspects of the perspective that we have amongst our task force. And it's been really incredible to have these people work with us. The fact that we're all volunteers is just continues to shock me.
And please thank everybody.
Thank you.
Because I know that, I mean, you're on the Zoom meetings there in my office. I can hear Ashley watching them, and I think the last one was about 3 hours.
Yeah, we did a 3-hour meeting last week.
Work session. Yeah, and if I may say,
Please.
I just want to echo, I think the work has been great of this Housing Oversight Task Force. Kirk and Deborah have been fabulous. I worked with Kirk on the comprehensive plan. I already knew he was fabulous. Kirk and Deborah together have been fabulous on the Housing Oversight Task Force. And each individual has brought so much to the table, so much perspective and opinions. And the way Kirk and Deborah have guided it, everybody gets a chance to speak. And we reached consensus. Almost every vote has been a full consensus on things, because the disagreements get all discussed. And by the time we're finished, everybody has a good feel for the same way to go, because everybody's opinions get talked about. So it's been really great. As Deborah said, also, when you get the document, almost 300 pages, But there'll be pages that, as Deborah said, look here, look there. You can read the whole thing, but like some terminology changed. So that's sprinkled everywhere.
Mhm.
That's like a little update here and there. So it's not that onerous if you look at the big pieces that change, like the new housing chapter. So it's all doable. And then we'll figure out how long we want the board to have to review it, because it is, but it is exciting, and the environment has always been front and center. And so those are some things I'll say. It's been a pleasure to work with the group.
You know, our comprehensive plan calls for housing and environment.
Right, two priorities. Yep.
We have not really discussed specific things in this document, other than, you've told me, and we've discussed that housing and environments together.
Right.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you want to take 15 seconds just to briefly mention our conversations with Senator Hinchey?
Oh, yeah, I could do that. So you all know I used to work for Senator Metzger. I'm going to spend some time with her this week on the energy plan, which is really exciting. And one of the things actually that she and I talked about a long time ago was, how do we create opportunities for communities to have open space preservation and housing funding at the same time. And so the Community Preservation Act was something that had happened regionally, actually worked on the original one. It was strictly open space. And you, going back to
First month in office, I think.
first
You
month in
came and
office,
saw me, we talked about this.
to look at, is there a way to have a community preservation bill for the community that would include both open space and housing. And so we've really been exploring that with her office to see what is legally feasible and what, and we think actually we're very encouraged by our discussion. Yes. That initially they said, no, it's not possible.
Like 6 years ago, and it's
Right, but it's something that Jen and I felt was possible. We knew it was important that it also be done in an environmentally sustainable way. So everything still has that same orientation. But we need to have resources to help make our community whole. And we don't, you don't have unlimited funds.
yeah.
And you can't just tax everybody as much as you want, or you don't want. So the idea is to come up with a way of doing it so that it doesn't affect everyday people in the community. And so we don't yet have anything, but when we do, we want to sit down and actually bring in everybody, conservation, everybody, and really talk about it and see if it's really something that the town wants to explore.
And for those who don't know, the Community Preservation Act basically it would permit the town to have a tax on the sale of property on houses that are over the median price of the county.
Portion of the sale
Above.
over the median price of the county.
And it usually runs somewhere between 1% and 2%.
Yeah, it's up to 2%, and it has to be authorized by the state legislature. It can't be something that you do on your own. And it is town by town, has to go through a process and develop a plan and have a permissive referendum. It's not a simple thing. So it does require a lot of community discussion in order for it to actually be something to consider. But the idea of having that fund among the eligible activities for that fund would be housing that Woodstockers can afford, would be a great, I think would be a great balance,
Right.
and a really wonderful contribution.
Thank you.
Okay.
The presentation's all done. You guys got in a little late.
Yeah, that's because your secretary Ashley said this wouldn't start 7:15, and now it's ending at 7:15.
My apologies.
Can you just recap like what we missed? Is there a document?
No, the document isn't out yet. Basically, they came to give us an update about what they're working. There is going to be a roughly 300-page document that'll be coming out. It'll be presented. We're gonna have a special meeting on May 31st. It'll be here at 7 p.m. And then we'll look at it, to take a look at it together.
Is that a public meeting?
Yeah, it'll be a town board meeting, scheduled meeting.
Yeah. We talked more process, not detail of the document itself, because the detail of the document itself, we'll hear on May 31st. We talked more about process, and the meeting is being recorded, so if you wanted, you could
So
YouTube
the
it.
public can be heard at that meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will the document be out before that, that we have a chance to look at, or?
On that date, it'll be released, and there'll be,
So you're gonna.
But Michael, that will be the initial unveiling of the document. It will not be the only meeting.
yeah,
It'll come back to us. When Kurt, Deborah, and I talked a week or two ago, we talked about having maybe a meeting a week apart. I'm thinking for 300-page document for the town board, maybe a meeting 2 or 3 weeks apart, but there'll be multiple meetings on this. It's not going to be one meeting.
right, and there also has to be an opportunity for the planning board, ZBA to see the document and give their input. So there's this process from that 31st that will begin, okay? And then there'll ultimately be a point when the board and everybody else that's contributed to it will be ready, and then it'll be given to the county for 30 days. And the public all the while, and then it'll come back, right? And then there'll be more public comment period at that point. So there's gonna be lots of room for input from a lot of different.
And at the end of the day, this would be an amendment to the zoning law, which would require its own separate public hearing.
Right.
Once we
Or
have
adoption.
for adoption. This is going to be a 4 to 6 month process.
And what we also said about the 300-page document is the current zoning code is about that big. So there's gonna be a new chapter on housing, and things from other parts of the code will go in the housing chapter. So you'll have about 20 or 30 pages that you'll have to read every word of, but some of the terminology change and that's sprinkled throughout. So the 300 pages, some of the changes are small changes, but there'll be at least the one chapter where you'll want to really read it, because that'll be the new stuff. But when it gets unveiled on May 31st, everybody's seeing it at the same time. And there's not even a plan. I think Deborah and Kirk don't really plan for Q&A on that day, because nobody will have read it yet. So, yeah, and the process will start on that day.
And I would say, if it's, just to indulge a little bit with the town board, if you want, we certainly want to meet with the planning board and the zoning revisions and the ZBA and the WC, and so all of the official boards. But, we anticipate, and if you want to have, a variety of meetings with the community. I know that the housing committee, the other hat that Kirk wears as co-chair of the housing committee that I'm also on, has an outreach, and Maria-Elena, as our liaison, has an outreach subgroup. And part of what they are looking to do, they also want to be able to read and review and give comments on the draft, but they also want to help facilitate a community education as we go through this process. So we want it to be as rigorous and as fruitful as it can be.
So I'm thinking that at least 2 to 3 weeks before we have the second meeting, and then we can schedule all the other committees and boards as well.
Bill, if I could suggest, maybe we should have a space on the website where people can download it on a specific date if they want to.
It'll be
So that everybody will have access to it, and that if people want actual copies of it, that maybe they could sign up to get a copy, so that we're not just printing 300 pages of documents.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know Jackie has said in the past, she's encouraged everybody, if you want to look at the zoning law, do it online, because that's a cost. And I think a lot of people can get it online.
I would just hate for people to not have the ability to read the thing.
Well, they can read it
That's-
online.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the new
Not
age.
everybody can read it online.
They can go to the new library.
We'll see in the morning.
I think that's also part and parcel, then
Bill,
of
is
what
any-
would be good to kind of work through to see how to create the ability for people that, because also, as Laura said, 300 pages is everything. We're not doing everything, we're
Right.
doing a subset. So we want to also have a way of people seeing, okay, here's the draft. It is the whole thing because that's how it comes out. But these are the sections that are new, or these are the areas you need to look at.
Perhaps those would be the ones you'd want to print.
Yeah,
There you
so-
go.
Right.
Yeah.
Bill,
Michael,
has any of this been written down? Have you any instruments that you've taken and put the contents into some sort of form which emphasizes what the changes are versus what the current law is?
Yes.
Which will simplify it, understanding what the changes are?
not yet.
No, not yet, because
Well, I think there's a format you might want to think about, because it's a lot easier to look at something that shows what the changes is when it's been either highlighted or italicized or something of that nature.
I think we can do that, but what now we're trying to do, Michael, is to finalize our recommendations so that when we do what you say, or, what Dennis says, it is the recommendations of our task force.
Okay.
So, and that's why we're taking this time.
I'll just say too, Michael, there's nobody who wants to push this through quicker than I mean, housing is so important to me. And I'm saying this is at least 4 to 6 month process, easy. It's just not going to fly through. So we're going to take every opportunity. It's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
Much like we thought this was gonna be a 3-minute conversation here, and here we are talking.
Poor Kevin is sitting there just thinking that's.
This is important to us too.
Well, it warrants a lot of conversation.
It certainly does.
Absolutely does.
Certainly does.
Yes,
So
it does.
people don't get to read it. It needs to be put in a format, as I said, that everybody can see the changes and understand them, digest them, and maybe make recommendations to those changes.
The one thing I just want to remind everybody, when we started this ride back in February or March, I mean, I said, part of the goal here is to work to make development easier. Protect our environment, but make development easier. So we're not trying to cut back on what people can do. We're trying to make things fit into the community more, incentivize development so that we can get a more affordable housing. So this isn't an anti-bills act here.
No, absolutely not. I would recommend that everyone who's here and wanting to know more about it, the 31st will provide an overview and provide some aspects of where to look when the code is made available. And then two, the very things that we're talking about, such as Bill just mentioned. One of the aspects of it is to establish some level of certainty for developers, some certainty for property owners, so that there's clarity in the code. Clarity in the code. And that's one thing that really is important that we felt. Consistency, clarity, it also
Right
means
now, it's
consistency.
not consistent.
Understood. And so that's what you're saying there is something that we work on the details of so that there is consistency. And there is something that, again, that clarity that from a property owner, from a developer, from a neighbor, it's all clear, right?
And I think that's also, we had thought we would be done sooner, but because of exactly what all of you are saying, we want to be sure that what we're providing is something that is of value to everyone. And it's going to reflect the fact that, time has passed and we need to look at everything and make sure it all lines up. And so that's what we're taking.
Okay, so I'm gonna hand up.
Yeah.
I just do want to say one thing to the public though, because Mike asked, was there gonna be conversation? There will be conversation at the 31st, but I don't think the public shouldn't come here expecting to ask specific questions. We will not have had a chance to even read through the 300
Will it be
pages.
online by then?
Yeah. After the meeting is when it will be released.
So what is the purpose of the May 31st?
Well, again, we're not going to be commenting on the specific plan on the 31st.
So what is the purpose of the 31st?
The purpose of the 31st, this is just an update.
So
This is just simply an
today
update.
is an update. The 31st is going to be presenting the plan to the town board.
That's what we were asked to do, and that's what we're gonna do. and that gets things started.
And then that's also when the planning board will have a chance to see it for the first time. The ZBA, zoning
Yes,
revision,
yes.
the revisions committee. So all the town boards and committees will have a chance to see it for the first time, but all at the same time,
Right.
right? And so we understand at that point, it's also going to be available to the public. So all these things are going to happen at the same time.
So we'll get it on Tuesday night and go up online Wednesday morning. So, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Kevin, the floor is yours.
You do have a hand raised in the back.
Yes.
You did have a hand raised in the back. I didn't hear you. Laurie? I did.
Thank you, guys. I think, Ashley, you're gonna put the presentation up online?
I think we have copies here.
We do have copies here, yeah.
This is. Okay, guys. Does anybody want a copy of the presentation for the school budget?
Yeah, we need another one over this way.
Only? Yeah, I'll take that. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Supervisor McKenna, thanks to the town council. First of all, I think we picked a great night to be here because environmental responsibility and housing are paramount things in the district too. So we'll look forward to your meeting on the 31st as well. Thank you for doing that. So we're here to present our budget, our 2022-23 budget to you and the community. And ordinarily this would be done by our business superintendent. But you get the two of us instead. So our budget comes in.
That. I'll have to worry about it.
I'm sorry, can we make sure it was muted?
Ashley?
So our budget comes in at just under $60 million, $59,991,000 and change. And our priorities were to reestablish or continue all of our pre-pandemic programs. It's been quite a couple of years for public education. We're going to be expanding our active learning space initiative, which just basically, if you don't know what that is, it just makes school a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaged, and allows students not to have to sit in a desk and do their work with their head down all day. And the research shows that it is certainly a worthwhile pursuit. Because of the pandemic, our students have suffered in a lot of ways. Their learning, they've come to learn for the last couple of years, and also their mental health. And this budget addresses those things as well. We're increasing our summer school funding to address our academic supports this summer, and we'll also be offering additional after-school homework help and supervision. We've also in this past year's budget, we also allocated a lot of extra money for mental health support. We're going to continue to do that not only in our schools, but we'll be partnering with Astor for out-of-school support for our students that need a little bit of extra help. And then we have a couple of equipment updates, a snowplow and a school bus. I will be going to look at, I think Cindy and I are both going to take a ride in an electric school bus on the 27th, and we're pretty excited about that. So how
size or min?
Both.
Okay.
So I think our replacement this year is a full-size bus. And our hope, of course, is some of our transportation is contracted out, and then some we own and we employ the drivers directly. Our hope is to, over time, replace not only our school buses, but all of our district vehicles with environmentally responsible vehicles. So how we get to the $60 million is, yes.
I'm looking for that value, 59.
It's in the proposition. You'll see it when you get at the end, when you read the proposition, you'll see, and I'll tell you how we get to that. I'll tell you how we get to the 59 million, and then I'll read the proposition at the end. So our tax levy this year is $46,101,388. That is up 1.19% from last year. Our state aid this year is also up just a little bit. It's up $10,297,206. We have a couple odds and ends, little refunds from the Board of Cooperative Education Services, a countywide educational institution. And then we're appropriating almost $3 million from our fund balance. And that gets us to the number that I'm going to give you. I don't know why they put it at the end, but the proposed tax levy is the thing that really impacts your pocketbook, right? And I think we did a great job of expanding our supports and keeping, we take a lot of things very seriously, education, the mental health support, and also we are a significant employer. So our proposed tax levy is $46,101,388. That's an increase of 1.19%. We're also transferring $750,000 from the general fund to continue a process that's been going on for many years now, abating the asbestos tiling in our buildings. We have, as our business superintendent calls them, our buildings are 1950s and 60s vintage. This is an ongoing process. We've been engaged in it for a few years, and we do as much as we can. It's work that can only be done in the summertime. Otherwise, we might do it all at once. But be assured, though, that the tiles are sealed. It's not like asbestos is in the air, but we want to go ahead and replace all of them over time. So we're going to be doing some of that this summer. We also are replacing the exterior doors at our elementary schools in Phoenicia and the one here in Woodstock, and some sidewalks and access ramps in Phoenicia. We're using $165,000 of American Recovery Program money to put generators at our we're using, I think that generator there is Bennett, yes. And then we have another $550,000 of ARP funds going to put generators at our middle school, high school, so that our schools can operate when there is no electricity, which, as you know, happens a little bit more here than it seems to happen in some other places. And then we're transferring $800,000 from the general fund, and we're adding some COVID recovery supplemental aid for a high ropes course at the high school. And then we're going to be renovating, we have almost $2 million in COVID recovery funds to renovate classrooms in the middle school, high school. Just know that, like everybody else, we're sort of victims of supply chain sort of impediments right now. So we're doing our best to get the work, but as you know, most of this work we can really only do in the summertime. So we're going to see how things end up. Also, state ed has been quite backed up in terms of approving these projects need state approval. So May 17th is our budget vote, and you can vote at any of our elementary schools, Woodstock Elementary, most relevant here, and then of course Bennett and Phoenicia Elementary. Proposition 1 is a $59,991,639 budget approval. Proposition 2 is to expend up to $675,000 from the Capital Reserve Fund to replace those exterior doors in Phoenicia and Woodstock, and to do the sidewalk and access ramps is Phoenicia. And we need public approval to spend that money to transfer that money over. Oh, look, I see one of misspelled Bennett's name, still misspelling Bennett's name. So there are 3 open.
So we're not the only ones.
It happened.
That's why he left. Right?
Exactly. You wish.
We all wish, but we know he's gone on to a much higher calling. How about that? Let's leave it at that.
I don't know about that. Education's on high quality.
Yeah, it actually is. And so we have 3 open seats that that we're going to be voting on this year. We have 5 contestants. The seat that when a trustee resigns, the person who receives of the 3 highest vote winners, the lowest of those will take trustee Ratcliffe's seat, and they will serve the remainder of his term. So that is a 1-year term, and then the other 2 are 3 years. We also recently had a resignation from the board, and we will fill that by appointment. That happened too late for the election. The petitions were turned in on April 18th, so your ballots are already printed. I understand that almost 400 people have already voted. And you know, we're big on civics, so we hope you get out and vote. Also, you probably, if you didn't get it today, you'll get it soon. This should come in your mail, and it has much more information than I just gave you, as well as some information about some of the things that are happening in our schools. Are there any questions?
Yes, so how can you get an absentee ballot?
You can call the district clerk's office at our high school. It's I don't know the number, but the extension is 1010.
There is a deadline, and I don't know.
Let's see, it might be on here.
That's something that.
I will, I don't have your email address, but I have your supervisors. Okay, you can call, but I will find out tomorrow too, because I should know that. So I will find out and
Okay. And I know you said I figure out where the 60 million, where the 59,991, so I think, so it's a matter of, I look at these other pages and add up a bunch of the numbers.
yeah, like if you look at page, the 3rd page here, you'll see, so we have the tax levy.
Right.
Right, that's 46 million. Then we have the state aid, which really just came in about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And then you have this miscellaneous line, and those are refunds, interest on money we had, a refund from BOCES, foster care billing. I don't even really know how that works.
Okay, so the fund balance then, so it's a 57, then you add in the fund balance.
Exactly,
You're
yes.
moving the fund balance.
Yeah,
And where does the fund balance come from again?
it's an internal fund
Okay, you
transfer.
got it. Okay. Okay, cool.
So I don't know if this helps, but according to Google, the Ontario School District is 845-657-2373. Does that sound?
That sounds right, and it's extension 1010, it's Fern, you can ask for Fern.
I have a very quick question.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with this, so can you tell me briefly what the High Ropes project is?
The High Ropes project is it's a climbing structure for the high school, and that's all I know about it.
It's used to promote, you know, like self-help and helping others. So it's like, it's kind of challenging and exciting, and you know, you have to be a team to make it done effectively. And it's a major, you know, construction project.
And it's a course.
It's a course,
They
yeah.
run through different obstacles.
You know, there's low ropes, high ropes, and climbing stuff, yeah.
Okay. So I do have another question. So you've got ARP funds in here.
Yes,
Are they guaranteed? And what if you don't get them?
they're guaranteed, and
Excellent.
I can't answer for sure whether we've already gotten them, but these are guaranteed, and our
Okay.
amount was guaranteed, and then we, you know, applied. grant by
Okay,
grant
so you see, this is
for
a pretty much a done deal. You don't worry about what do I do?
Yeah, you don't need to worry about whether it's, well, I would say that you shouldn't need to worry about whether it's a done deal, but yes, these are appropriated already.
And I do want to thank you again for coming out for the civics teach-in.
Oh, thank
because
you, that was
great to hear more
wonderful.
About what you do. It was fabulous.
Thank you. We've had meetings most Thursdays as we've been appointing a superintendent. I really had intended to make them, and I wish I knew more about the library vote. I live in West Hurley. I live 50 yards from Woodstock, so.
They'll read the paper, I think.
Reggie, did you have any questions?
Yeah.
You good?
Ben?
I just wanted to thank you for your years of service. I know you're leaving.
I thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
And
It's wonderful.
And I also wanted to thank you for agreeing to join the tree law task force that we're looking at, because I know that 375, where Woodstock Elementary is within the current tree law. And we really would appreciate the input from the board and the district on trees.
Great, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you both for
Thank
coming
you.
tonight.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
all you
having
do
us.
for us.
Good luck with
Appreciate it.
your budget.
Thanks, guys.
Those are our two presentations for the evening. Run through some resolutions. Be it resolved to hire Justice Price as full-time grade 1 summer help in the Highway Department at $17.61 an hour starting May 16th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to accept the resignation of Christian Delgard as dispatcher effective May 11th, 2020. Wish Christian luck as he moves on to the state police dispatcher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to hire Dominic Nichols as a grade 3 full-time provisional dispatcher at a rate of $22.53 effective May 28th, 2022.
Second.
And Nicholas, or excuse me, Dominic is a part-timer right now. All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved to allow the supervisor be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to forward the proposed water district wellhead protection overlay law to the Woodstock Planning Board and the Ulster County Planning Board for their review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'd like to thank everybody, that group of 7 that did that final review of the law and the work, some really good work on the map happened.
Push it.
So I just want to thank you. again.
This is the final push over the.
So, so I
The
want
goal
to,
line.
I want to thank the team, which includes myself, by the way. But we had Judy Kerman, who great with the mapping. We had Arlene was on there. We had we had experts as well. So we had experts, we had a committee, and great work.
Thank you, Laura. Be it resolved to accept the resignation of Chris Maria-Elena as full-time laborer for the Water Sewer Department effective May 20th, 2022, and be further resolved to hire Chris Maria-Elena as part-time laborer at a rate of $22.53 effective May 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Aye.
And last one is not on there, but be it resolved to schedule a special town board meeting for May 31st at 7 p.m. through the town offices and by Zoom.
Second.
And that would be for the purpose of
Housing oversight,
receiving.
the Housing Oversight Task
documents.
Force. More.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Ashley, do we have any public be heard?
Nobody has requested.
Okay, just John Ludwig here. John, 2 minutes.
Thank you. The document that you all have, this is the annual report that came out in March. And I only printed out the first 6 pages of it. And what I'm showing, or what I'm featuring here, is that there's a unassigned fund balance, which is a surplus from 2021 of about $1.2 million. And I'm not asking what you're going to do with it, but I'm asking tonight what process you might have for discussing the surplus and working it out among the board of what you're going to do with the $1.2 million and when you might be doing that.
Usually towards the end of May. That's when I did it last year, I believe. And the policy, the supervisor would make recommendations and the board would discuss it, adjust it, throw it in the garbage or adopt it.
So you'll have a discussion here for probably 2 weeks from tonight. Is that what you're saying?
Probably, yeah.
Mhm. Okay. And then I've written you a couple of emails on the subject, and I'd like to ask that when you do put it in a resolution, that you be very specific in the resolution to say how many dollars and where the money is going in the resolution so that it appears in the minutes of the meeting.
You and I have gone back a little bit back and
Yeah.
forth. I know last year when we did the surplus, it was specific. There was one night when we were closing out capital projects and other funds, and we didn't have specific dollar amounts necessarily for those funds. We just closed out the whole fund and moved it into
Right.
A lot of them went into the coma.
April 20th last year, $1.8 million was transferred, and the resolution said transfer per transfer sheet. And it was not explicit in the resolution. It did not appear in the minutes. And then the recording of that meeting disappeared. So we have no record of
Yeah, I'll look into that. Thank you, John.
it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have two things.
Okay, I'm stressing out with a little bit of a nasal drip,
Oh, just
so,
quick,
yeah, okay, good.
very quick.
Thank
Well,
you.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew, if you go to the Town of Woodstock Tree Committee page, you will now see information on how you could donate. As people who are so influential in Woodstock pass, and we grieve over that, it can help us feel better to be able to give in a way. And giving to tree donations is something that you can do. And if you go to the tree page on the Town of Woodstock website, it now has the information how you can donate to the people that we've lost. And then we had a resolution on the town board about who are the names that will be getting trees at this point in time. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, as we all, I think, know, the library board vote is tonight. It's at the community center. It's until 9 p.m. I was voter 730 at about 5:30 today. So if you haven't already gone to vote, it's a very important vote. And democracy works best when everybody votes, because then you know what the people really want.
Thank you. Well, Reggie, did you want to?
I just wanted to announce that we are about to finish out filling the noise law task force. And at present, we have 7 people. We're hoping to get 2 more. We have a record store owner, Lon Clark. We have town board member Maria-Elena Conti. We have Bearsville resident Amy Palumbo. We have the Woodstock Reformed Church pastor Carrie Pattison, myself. We have a Woodstock resident, Erwin Rosenthal, and we have a zoning board of appeals member, Marcia Zwilling. And we are looking forward to other people who are interested in discussing sound and noise. And if you are interested, you can email either me or Maria-Elena. Our emails are on the town board website. And
What about the Gmail one too?
or there's a Gmail, which is Woodstock Noise Law.
Use the town.
The town?
Yeah.
Use the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't use,
What's official town business?
Yeah, don't.
So,
use-
so please email either Maria-Elena or myself. And we will be finishing this shortly and then begin on our work.
Excellent. Really?
Well, that's what I was.
What he said.
So,
Sorry.
You
Was
know,
the 730 on your side of the room, or was that the total of both sides?
Well, when I put, there was
I'm
one
you guys can talk.
one voting machine, and I was number 730 on the voting machine.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
All right, now you can ask John.
Feel better. Yeah, I can tell you're going a little bit down. It's like,
The nasal drip. I can.
Okay, I'm going to get in line.
Yeah, there you go.
Where they took the better.
feel better.
Thank you.
All right, I gotta go
Oh.
Yay.
look. You were 7, what?
I was 730
At 5:30?
at 5:30 at the machine. They had one voting machine, and that came up on the voting machine.
All right.
Okay, cool.
25 years.